Hey, welcome back everyone for the third and final part of my playthrough of Blades of Steel Pro Tournament edition for the NES. I almost forgot what I was trying to say there. But as you see here is the final round, and like I did the previous two times, I play as Los Angeles, which you play as the same team throughout, which I don't know why I said that either, but as you can see here, I drew up against Edmonton, which also, like I said, is one of the two toughest teams I think is in the game. One thing you'll notice right off the bat is that Edmonton on here looks nothing like the Edmonton Oilers hockey team. As a matter of fact, it's believed that the color scheme here is based off the Edmonton Eskimos team that's for the Canadian Football League. Maybe they did this to try to make Edmonton look different from the other teams, which, as you see here, I very got lucky here. Which, I did start this one off to be really jittery, to be honest. Like right there, I almost went 4 whole minutes without scoring, which is very unlike me, but like I was saying before, I think the only reason why they had Edmonton looking like this is to try to make themselves look different. Because if you think about it, like the last video, New York was blue and orange, and back in the 80s, Edmonton was blue and orange too. And they couldn't have two blue and orange teams, so they figured, and they had to have an Edmonton team because of how good they were back in the 80s, so they probably figured, you know, get another Edmonton sports team and get the colors and put them on here. So they can have them on there, so they can distinguish them between each team, which I have no problem with that. You know, I'm not really a big fan of taking liberties from the source material, but in this case, I don't care whatsoever, because you do want to be able to see what team you're playing as. As you can see here, that like the last video, that my opponents equalized on me. But, which I haven't even talked about LA's colors. You know, when the Los Angeles Kings entered the NHL back in 1967, the purple and gold were their colors. You know, that's what they started out with. I know lots of people are looking at it probably, oh, these are Laker colors, which they are Laker colors, but they're not purple and gold because they're Lakers. It's because back when they first came about, Los Angeles was purple and gold, so. And of course, back in the late 80s, when this game came out, that's when they switched to silver and black. And then during the late 90s, they went to like a purple and black and white. The logos were awesome, but the uniforms were just hideous. And then, just recently, they switched back to the silver and black, which I do like the uniforms, but like I said, which I know this is probably the 4th or 5th time, but I'm just not an LA Kings fan. Though I do like the purple and gold. I know, I'm not sure they still have the purple and gold alternate jerseys, but I do like them. You know, I like the old school throwback jerseys. I know the Penguins have their old Stanley Cup uniforms that they wore back in the early 90s. Philadelphia Flyers, another team I don't really like, they have their throwback jerseys. Yeah, I think they look pretty good, so. But yeah, it's interesting, you know, they try to make the teams look more modern by having all these new uniforms now, but they look so much better with the throwbacks, you know, how they used to look. And while I'm talking on here, I should point that this is the point in the game where I really started to pour it on Edmonton, you know, and to be honest with you, when I was playing this, I found out, especially during this stretch, that Edmonton was a lot easier to deal with this time around than what I usually do, because normally it's a really close game. Especially in the first period-wise, playing against Edmonton, and for me to have 5 goals scored against them at this point, it was a bit of a surprise to me when I played this, so, not that I'm trying to gloat or anything, but, yeah, I was kind of surprised how little of a fight that Edmonton put up here. But yeah, you're starting to see this like in all the leagues now. I know the Baltimore Orioles baseball team, they went back to the old hats with the Oriole bird on it. National Football League, you see it with the San Diego Chargers and the New York Jets and the Buffalo Bills, they went back to their old uniforms. NBA, some of the teams like the Golden State Warriors and the Atlanta Hawks, they're going back to their old colors and logos, which I like, you know, because sometimes when you try to change things up, they don't look, you think they look good at that point, but throughout, like, give it like about several years and you're saying, oh, maybe this doesn't look as good as what we thought. And that does happen too. Every time you see something new, you do like it at first, but it's just, does it stand up to the test of time? And in most cases, as you see, most of these teams go back. Which I talked about the New York Islanders. They kind of did that back in the 90s. They had that Gorton's Fisherman logo out with the weird, like the teal and the blue and the orange and that. It was different when it came out, and you know it was kind of cool. But after a couple of years, it looked hideous. So they went back to the old New York Islanders uniforms that we know of back in the 70s and that we see today. So but yeah, you know, it just, I think it's just the hype of seeing something new, and you really don't get to really have form a good opinion on them until you actually see them over time. Which I should talk about my Penguins and that, because after they won their back-to-back Stanley Cups, they went to that real techno alien, yeah. That the techno penguin look and that, and they had these new uniforms and that, which they looked nice at first, but then after a year or two, I started missing the skating penguin that was on the front of the jersey. So, and then when Mario Lemieux kept the team in Pittsburgh and that's when he switched back to the skating penguin logo and had the Vegas black, the Vegas gold and black as the colors in that. So, and also, like I said a couple minutes ago, they did bring back the back-to-back Stanley Cup uniforms for this year's, the alternate uniforms, which I would be tickled pink to see them becoming the primary uniforms again, because I know whenever they played earlier, like about a couple weeks ago against Philly, they ended up losing the game wearing those jerseys, but just to see them again brought back so many memories when I was a kid. Watching them lift the Stanley Cup 2 years in a row, and I remember being so happy when I was a kid, and those uniforms is what I associated with those Stanley Cup wins, and to see them out there skate and those, it just brought back so many good memories, and the nostalgia factor was just through the roof there, which I really loved. So, but yeah, as you can tell, I'm rambling on here, and while the first period's winding down. And see here, I got a healthy lead on Edmonton, which 11-2. I knew I scored double digits there, I just couldn't remember. Now, I am gonna cut down, I did cut down a good chunk of the remainder of this game just simply because I was primarily trying to kill off time here. Which you're not gonna see a whole lot of the second period or the third period. But like I said in this first video, I just want to show like the goals and that, like what goals were scored and stuff like that, which, as you see, I'm not editing here. That probably should say that there's a goal coming up here real soon, so. See, I thought about killing off time there, but then I figured, yeah, maybe I am killing off time here, man. But yeah, as you can see here, that's what I know. This is what I do to kill off the time. That way, it makes the games go by quicker. Which I thought for a minute I was gonna advance towards net, but I ended up not. So, but yeah, just as long as you're able to keep the puck like this, pass to each teammate from time to time, you should be okay. Right here, I finally decided to shoot, but and also, as you could probably tell at that point, I got real good at intercepting the passes, which I got real unlucky there, but yeah, when you see me edit my videos like this, that's all I was pretty much doing, is just circling the puck around and keeping it and trying to pass off to the nearest guy to me, which sometimes it doesn't work because sometimes the passing gets kind of funky on here, but Also, like I said in my review, you know, I talked about the announcer on there saying, whenever you make a pass, he says with the pass instead of hit the pad. And for the longest time, I thought he said hit the pad. And I know when my friends and I were playing this when I was little and we played this, we heard him say that. We're like, what does he mean hit the pad? What pad? What pad are they hitting? But yeah, it'd be like, it's actually saying with the pass, but I don't know, maybe my friends and I were weird in that. Maybe it doesn't sound like that to anybody else, but I know that's what it sounded like to us, but as you can see here, the end of the second period. And I'm not gonna spend a whole lot of time in the third period either, you know, I'm just gonna edit it just enough so you can see the goals in that, which you get to see this cutscene again. Yeah, you see here, I was still contemplating whether or not to take the entire time to keep the puck in it. If I remember correctly, something happens here and it ended up not going according to plan, which I'm gonna see here. Yep, that's what I figured. That happened, and if I'm not mistaken, I ended up giving up the goal which I did. But yeah, sometimes that happens, you know, if you're playing this. You see here, they're trying to make another advance towards my goal. So you know what I decided to do here? I decided to rub it in. Try to score a few goals of my own here, just to rub it in. But if I'm not mistaken, I score another goal and then I spend the rest of the time pretty much holding the puck. Which, I don't know, I was being extra cautious when I was the goalie holding on to that puck. And I scored there, and if I'm not mistaken, that's the last goal I score in this game. And as I should say, in this tournament, so... And you see here, time is winding down. And that is it for tournament mode. You know, I win the game. 15-4. And you see here. And then like the guy in front is holding the cup. Woohoo! But yeah, it's nothing real special, but to actually see your team lift the cup like that, it does add a little bit of a thrill to it, so But yeah, that was not quite as easy as what I thought it would have been, but as you can see the final table here, Los Angeles, the team I played as, ends up prevailing and winning the cup. Which, wow, Montreal didn't even make it past the first round. That's kind of an oddity. I would have thought they would have beat New York, but Toronto can be a tricky team to play against too. I don't think they're quite as hard as Montreal though. As you can see here, congratulations on becoming the ultimate champion. You don't see that in junior college, so that's pretty much the good ending there, but nothing too special, but as you can see here are the credits. Which, as you can see, they're the two teams that are featured in the finals, so, some pretty cool stuff here. I don't know, it's nothing too special, but at least there's an ending, and you get to see some good credits in that. You see some good action going on here. And as these credits wind down, I want to thank anybody that's watched this series, and I hope you really enjoyed what you watched, and Like I said in the last video, I do have my next project started. All I need to do is add my text commentary to it, and it should be out before you know it. And that's pretty much it. So, thank you for watching this, and tune in again next time, whenever that shall be.